Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Alta, Verapaz in Guatemala. I've got it kind of zoomed in a lot so you can't see all of Guatemala, but Alta Verapaz is in the more northern, kind of north central area of Guatemala. Very famously, the Petén is the most northerly part, but this is the area just south of the most northerly part, if that makes sense. If you know this region of Mexico, Guatemala, this is Maya territory. It is full of jungle and mountains and beautiful rivers and waterfalls and wildlife. Alta Verapaz is no exception. It is bursting at the seams with incredible plants and animals and a really interesting history. There's really not much else to say about geography. It's covered in forests, it's covered in mountains. The capital is Copan. So let's talk about its history then. This region was definitely part of like the classical Maya territory, but you're not going to find any old Mayan ruins in Alta Verapaz, at least not yet. They may not be discovered yet, but as of now, there aren't any great cities that were built in this region. I think honestly it was just too far from the coast and too thick. Most of them are kind of like down here, right? So, this region, though, was inhabited for a very long time by some Mayan people groups, mainly the Kekchi peoples, and to a lesser extent the Pocomchi peoples, who were subjugated by the Kekchi. Kekchi peoples, which their language is still spoken here. There are peoples of Kekchi origin that still live here. Obviously not like it was back when we're talking, right? They were a very aggressive, warlike people. The Pocomchi I just mentioned because they were here, but they were being subjugated by the Kekchi. They were very aggressive, warlike peoples. So, in the 1530s, the Spanish made their way up here. Now, what do you think happened? The Spanish had just conquered Mexico City, way up there. They were conquering the areas along the Caribbean coast and making their way into the interior of Central America. So, the Kekchi had heard of the Spanish by then. What do you think happened? Did the Spanish come in and overwhelm them, or did the Kekchi manage to fight them off? Well, as it turned out, it was B. The Kekchi fought them off big time. Now, this region I had read was known in, or by the Kekchi as Tezulutlan. And I've read that that name means the land of war, but I also read that the Spanish nicknamed this area the land of war. So I've read both sources. I'm not sure which is correct. Either way, awesome. That sounds like an intense place. I mean, war is not good. Bloodshed is not good, but for the Spanish to be like, don't go here, they're gonna beat you up. You're gonna regret it. That's pretty cool, to be honest. So what were the Spanish going to do about this little corner here? It included this region also. This is Baja Verapaz. What were the Spanish going to do about this region that was full of these warlike indigenous peoples who would beat them up, even though they weren't the unstoppable Spanish Empire? Well, one man had an idea. A friar, a priest named Bartolomé de las Casas. He came into the area in 1542 with other Dominican friars to, kind of raise up the people a little bit, to be like, hey, we come in peace. We're not here to harm you. We would like to talk about Jesus, but most of all, we want to, help you guys out. Is there anything you need? Do you want to trade? Can we build like a mission here where you guys can grow food? And, we can help each other out. And I think the people here were very wary at first, but allowed them to be there, and they even got some converts. But it wouldn't be long until he and the other Dominicans would wind up being slaughtered by the indigenous peoples here. Many other missionaries would come to the area to attempt to peacefully convert, and eventually, it took a long time, but it would eventually become a success, and this area was named the Verapaz region, which means true peace in Spanish. It would be split up in the 1877 into two regions, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, the Spanish were very wary about living in this place because whenever they stepped foot in here, it would be a bad time for them. The missionaries learned that this region was pretty fertile. You could plant things here and, have the people help you to help it grow. You know what I mean. Once the Spanish were here, once they sank their claws into the region, they weren't going to let go, and the people either had to flee the mountains and wait to be conquered, or just, it was never a good time for any indigenous person in the Spanish Empire in Central America and other places in the Americas. You get what I'm saying. Nevertheless, something had to be done with this land. They couldn't just let it go wild, So they thought, let's, start farming. Let's try to make something out of the Verapaz region, but the Spanish were a little wary. They didn't want to farm there. Not to mention there were many other better places to farm in Central America. So they reached out, said, hey, is there anyone who wants to establish your own farm? And in the 1860s, many German immigrants answered that call, and a huge German population moved into the area. Now, what did they grow specifically? They grew cotton, for one thing. That was big for a minute. And they grew coffee, which is still a huge industry in Alta Verapaz. But they also brought with them cardamom, and that really took off. Guatemala is one of the largest cardamom producers in the world today, and just in Alta Verapaz, they produce 70% of Guatemala's cardamom. It became a huge little industry, I should say, within the area here. However, the German population boom was not to last. It got pretty big. They built German schools, German communities, German churches. Huge German presence in Alta Verapaz, but there's not today. And why is that? World War II was the answer. In 1941, the Germans were expelled out of Guatemala, mostly due to pressure from the United States to not have German communities, I suppose. World War II was an iffy time to be an Axis minority, I suppose you'd call it, in the Americas. So today it is obviously mostly Guatemalans, lots of indigenous Mayan peoples, so on and so forth, but not a German population like there once was. And to be honest, that's about it for the history. That's at least all that I could find. Not a lot, but what I did find I thought was very, very interesting. So let's pull up Google Earth so I can show you this really incredible region. It's one of those places where I spent way too long combing around and finding cool spots that, we could either make this section 2 hours or 5 minutes, so I'm gonna keep it a little compact. I don't think I looked at this slideshow, however. Look at this big river, farmland, little pool looks like. Maybe that's a little ecotourism site. Beautiful churches from the Dominican times, rushing rivers through the jungles. The cities here aren't, cities. It's no Guatemala City. It's a little town here. They're large. There's a big football field, but they aren't, sprawling metropolises, I should say. A lot of these are repeats. Let's get out of this. So let's start off by looking at Coban, the major city, the largest city in the area. And yeah, we saw a lot of these pictures in Coban. It seems like, all of the tourist videos I saw for Alta Verapaz and Coban were in Spanish, so I took with it what I could. I understand bits and pieces of Spanish. But it just seems like a little quaint city. Looks like a little graveyard there. It's kind of cool. I wonder if it's an old Spanish graveyard. And lots of interesting sights. I hope you can't hear my neighbor who decided to start marching above my head. I hope that's not picking up. But anyway, this is a really old looking church, isn't it? That's really beautiful. Here's a coffee tour, a little coffee plantation here where you can see where the coffee beans are picked and harvested. There's what coffee looks like in its raw form. It looks like you can go zip lining too, which I would pass on for sure. Not about that. Look at this. Like the whole region is just look all the types of beans. Just jungles and forests and plantations within the forest. That must be where they dry the beans. And it looks like you can press your own coffee here on this coffee tour. That's a neat place. There's lots of little places like that. Not just all over Guatemala, but Central America. And let's see, what else should I show you? There's so many waterfalls. Let's go find one. Let's go find a random waterfall. Grutas del Rey Marcos. I don't know what that is. Oh my gosh, no, I did click on this. Looks like it's a really cool cave, but this slideshow only has one picture of the cave. The rest are of the water nearby, which is really pretty. I'd rather see more of the cool cave. Let's see, let's find a waterfall. There's a lot more little things popping up than when I last was here. What's this? Catarata Soa. Oh, waterfall. Cataract, I assume, means like rapids. Yeah, really cool. Lots of water flowing between all of these huge mountains. I should show you the mountains. What am I thinking? Let's get out of this. Because from up here it looks relatively flat and boring, but we gotta turn on the 3D so I can show you just how huge these cliffs are. Make sure I'm staying within the region too. Big old mountains. Yeah, see, we're leaving it here. It's a very, very mountainous area. Look at the forest, just covers the entire region. So imagine all of these places are dotted with little farms, little tourist sites, and little waterfalls and springs and natural things that are just so beautiful. Let me see what's over here. Like, what's this? It's like Huntel. It looks Mayan Ecological Park. Yeah, it's like this region has so many little slideshows and pictures, but they're all of the beautiful scenery, which is not a bad thing. We love beautiful scenery, but I feel like I can only show you so many pictures of the jungle, right? But it's so beautiful. It's literally a little paradise, isn't it? So neat. There is a really cool national park in the corner. I need to go like this and zoom out to make sure I'm not lost. Here we are. It's really cool from above. It's just a big old circle lake. The Laguna. So, like, I feel like so many regions just have like a lake. Like when you say we're gonna go to the lake this weekend, you know, I assume this is the lake. It looks so clear and beautiful, and I assume fun to swim in. It's probably very cold. Little butterfly. Look at that water. Oh, that's lovely. And I assume lots of cool hiking trails and camping sites. And just so many of the beautiful sceneries of Central America. Mostly unspoiled and lush. Just incredible, right? Let's look at this mountain real quick before we head out. Because again, I could just show you endless slideshows of just this. Look how gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I imagine the air smells so fresh and clean as well. Some plants there being planted. So yes, I'm going to end it there. But if you want to see more pictures, Google Earth is free. Highly encourage you to check it out yourself. I'm looking at all these Mayan sites. Look at this, there's a cave here. Cool. Oh my gosh, that is the most beautiful thing. It's so nice. But anyway, wow. Oh, it's magical. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. This is an ongoing series on my channel. Next, we're going to be heading over to Russia. And if you thought these mountains and things were beautiful, these waterfalls, these sites, you just wait. You're in for a treat. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. I want to swim there. And I hope that you have a good night. It just started raining too.